right, Dean, you bet. Leadership practice. Okay. All right. Now, with that being said, because it is different as far as being a champion and as an individual. Now, what about a championship team?
A strong leader.
Okay. Strong leader, teamwork,
Collaboration.
cooperation, money. Okay, yeah. Any others? Compromise. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, so my story is going to be based off of my past. When I was in college, I was a D3 football national champion for the University of Mount Union. What I started noticing when I researched Agile was that a lot of the tendencies of your best teams, whether it be New England Patriots, New York Yankees, Chicago Cubs, all align with the same Agile methodologies. So to get us started, what I think makes a champion, first and foremost, is mindset. So you got to be ready to play. Next is going to be communication. You got to be able to work with others. Third, knowledge. Fourth, you got to have the talent. And then last, and probably most important, is hard work. The reason why hard work is last, though, is because I know you've all heard that phrase, hard work beats talent, when talent doesn't work hard. So that means talent has the upper hand, right? So, all right. So then when we look at championship operation team, what I lead my team on is execution. We want to get the job done. If you get the job done, then you have no issues with being transparent because everything's great. Next is stability. I want to make sure that at any given time, if anyone takes a day off, anyone has to leave, that we have enough people to be able to get the work done still. Fourth, continuous learning, always trying to get better. And then lastly, just having fun. So I think those match pretty much to the T with all the words that you gave. So great job, everyone. All right, so I like quotes. I'll have to read it word for word here. I might skip over words, so I apologize. So Bill Belichick says, there's an old saying about the strength of the wolf is the pack. And I think that there's a lot of truth in that. On a football team, it's not the strength of the individual player, but it's the strength of the unit and how they all function together. I think that all correlates into our day-to-day work. With that being said, I do have a question because I want to make sure that I'm tailoring my message appropriately. How many people do we have on the IT side here? Would you raise your hand, please? Okay. All right. Now on the business operations side. 1, 2. Okay. No problems there. I'm going to make sure that the message fits for everyone. I think it's very important that as a business, we blur the lines between IT and business anyways. So I'm hoping that this presentation can meet that. All right, so background. Like I said, D3 national champion. I work at Nelnet in the operational accounting department in the Lincoln area. We reconcile all the student loan portfolio, whether it be our direct ed loans, our consumer loans, or commercial FFELP loans. Overall, I've saved my department over $250,000 through operational efficiencies and process improvements. I currently have an associate engagement survey of 95%, and goals met for my tenure is 86.5%. That number will increase by the end of the year. Don't worry. With that being said, undergrads in accounting, MBA in organizational development, and just have a passion for teamwork. Have a passion for helping others grow, helping others develop. All right, so today's purpose, we're going to talk about Agile. Since we're on the IT side, I know everyone knows Agile. However, we're going to give a business operations twist on it. and then we're going to talk about the role of a leader and coach in Agile. And just because you have someone that's your supervisor, product owner, or scrum master, that doesn't mean that everyone can't be a leader of the team. So this will be mutual beneficial for everyone. Expected outcomes, looking for continuous improvement, hoping to save dollars, hoping to get work done as fast as possible. We're going to do that through associate engagement, improved quality, and then data-driven decisions. All right, so the process. So got this definition from Google. I just typed it in, I don't know where I got it from, but this is what I got. Agile is a method of project management, especially for software technology, that is characterized by the division of tasks into short phases of work and frequent reassessment and adaptation of plans. When you read that from the business is going to say that this isn't for us. So they're going to naturally push this away, that this is only IT. However, what you'll see is if I take out a couple words, I think it'll change everybody's thought. So Agile is a method of management that's characterized by the division of tasks into short phases of work, frequent reassessment, adaptation of plans. You use this definition, that translates anywhere. All right, so when we talk about Agile, I'm going to talk about the Agile Manifesto from the values and not the principles. The principles are very focused on IT side, so I haven't figured out how to reword those yet. So, Agile Manifesto. I did not change any of this. However, I'll give you a little bit of information and background as far as why I think this is important just overall. Just so you know, I may skip over words within the slides. However, you all have a printout. I'll have this information for you to be able to go back. All right, so valuing individuals and interactions over processes and tools. I think I'm a smart guy. I know probably everybody else thinks they're a smart person. However, if you create a process or you create a tool and people can't use it, it's useless. So when you think about that, you have to value the individual and the interactions and truly understand how the business or how the person will be using the data, job, or process that you're providing. Next, comprehensive documentation over a working product. At the end of the day, we want to get the work done. We want to get the job done. Yes, you want to have the documentation that we can always go back to, but at the end of the day, the way that our world changes, you have to be quick and you want to make sure that the product works. Does the product work? There isn't many questions. We can move on and continue to get work done. Next, customer collaboration. So, as a leader, it's important for you to visualize your team as your customer and not just the boss. If you visualize your team as the customer, then now you're going to do whatever can put them in the best situation possible. So it's not contract negotiation in essence that, okay, here are the rules and obligations of your role, do this, great job. It's a two-way conversation about how can we create the best process to be able to execute the most efficiency. And then lastly, responding to change over following a plan. So it's always good to have structure, to have a plan. However, I think we all know priorities change quickly. New things come up, new business lines come up. So being able to adapt to change is very important as far as being a championship team. All right, so role of leader coach. Again, this is not just for a product owner, scrum master, or leader. This is for everyone. Is to provide structure, vision, and an environment for collaboration. Key word, if you want to remember, is to be a connector. It's not about you getting the work done, it's about putting people in the room together to be able to provide the best product. This can be done by having goals and reporting. If you're looking from a sports standpoint, that would be your scoreboard. Roles and expectations. So that's going to be your depth chart. Procedures and resources, that's similar to a playbook. change management, that's going to be your practice. You're going to work out those kinks and then potentially in the game make adjustments. You had a plan, you thought this would work, and then you got hit with a curveball and you got to adjust. And then lastly, evaluations. And this is going to be your personal performance review. We'll be breaking this down further in the presentation. All right, so goals and reporting. So this is where I'll start chopping up the presentation here. So visualize the scoreboard. In football, when I'm on offense or I'm on defense, when you look at the scoreboard, you know if you're up or if you're down. Think of a burn down chart. And you have a sprint and you want to get through so many projects. Then that burn down chart is going to tell you, are you winning or are you losing at this point? Do you need to make adjustments to meet your goal by the end of that sprint? Now, being a championship team doesn't mean that you have to win every sprint, but you want to make sure that you're winning more than you're losing for sure. So by doing this, this also improves transparency. When you improve transparency, that adds trust, and then it allows the team to be able to self-manage themselves. So when you have a dashboard, I know Chris talked about WIP and having items in a certain spot. When you have a dashboard or your Kanban board, that can allow everyone on the team to see, oh, this section has a lot of work to be done. We need to make some type of adjustment to ensure we hit our goal. All right, next, roles and expectations. So, similar in basketball, what you'll see is that there's 5 positions. However, at any given time, the person, Tony Allen here, could move to this position. So having a depth chart allows you to be flexible and to know where your weaknesses are at. The big thing here is to document all tasks. I experienced this a lot within my operational team. I have a few people that's been on my team for 7 years. So they have all of this information, and sometimes they forget when the new person comes in that they have never seen this process. Or it's been 7 years, they've done this task, there's no issues with it, however, they can never take time off because they're the only one that can do it. There's nothing wrong with passing along information. When you pass along information and you can transition that knowledge appropriately, that's actually more job security because you can take on more. All right, next, documentation. So my team, reconciliation, accounting background, everyone says, oh, I don't know what you do, just tell me what you need and we'll get it figured out. That's kind of similar to this basketball play. You first look at this basketball play, you just see arrows. What does arrows mean? What's the objection? Ultimately, we want to score a basket, but looking at this, maybe I know what's going on. I see a green line, I see blue, why are they different colors? I don't know. Documentation helps you be able to keep everyone on track. And my tip is to have a work schedule or at least a workflow system to make sure that you know exactly what needs to happen, whether it be a process of a new job or any new task that you may take on. All right, so moving to the next section, tips for change management. So first and foremost, average employee has 43% of distractions within their day. It is what it is. It's going to be hard to change that. When I'm in my office, sometimes I just wish people could just put their phone away in a closet, not look at it, but you have to adapt. The reason for that, though, as a leader, you have to adapt your leadership style to ensure that you are maximizing that time and removing distractions as much as possible. So, with that, as far as removing distractions, reinforcement is important. When you have a goal, when you have an objective, you want to make sure that everyone's on the same page and moving in the same direction. What I tell people when I lead my team meetings and I talk to other leaders is that no matter team meeting, no matter right now here, you never know what's going on in someone's life. They could be completely distracted, whether it be a sick kid, sick parent. They may not hear everything that you have to say in that meeting, and you have to understand that. So that's why reinforcement is key. And then also performance management is vital. If no one's able to tell if they're winning or losing, they're not going to be motivated to work. And performance management allows you to more or less give kudos. Not really to diminish anybody's work, but to say, great job, here's the reason you're meeting these expectations. Yes?
When you say reinforcement is key, what are we reinforcing?
You want to reinforce your team goals. You want to reinforce that scoreboard. You want to reinforce roles and expectations. You want to reinforce the playbook. I'll give you a perfect example. Let's say we create a new process and we thought we had everything identified, but we didn't. When you go through that change management process, you want to identify the issue, identify the root cause, and have a solution going forward. Where reinforcement is lacked sometimes is if there's a lot of work going on, you just fix it and move on. Then now when you go back to that issue, or if another issue comes up within that process, then now you're starting right back over. What happened the first time? And that's because you're not reinforcing the principles to have an effective operation. Okay, so tips for change management. Preparation for change or meeting is valuable. I cannot tell you the shift that we had as a team once we started passing out information before meetings rather than trying to get information right on the spot. I know we all want to provide the best information that we can. With that being said, people need time to research to give you accurate information. So you want to make sure that you have all impacted parties involved. You want to send out the agenda prior to meetings. Even though I'm presenting, I gave you all the information before. If you read what was on there and you flipped over to both sides, it doesn't matter to me. You still, at some point, have to listen to be able to get the full message. However, this allows you to be able to prepare for the session, and then also allows you to be able to take something home as well to be able to recite. One thing as a leader is that you want to allow the team to add agenda topics as well. Then now they have more engagement, they have more involvement in the process. And then that will transition into more interaction like what we talked about on the Agile Manifesto. All right, so next, during and post meetings. Hopefully you're having valuable conversations. Sometimes if you get into a heated discussion, it can be tough. However, having discussions and having honesty is so important to creating the best product. With that being said, during and post meeting, you want to make sure that you assign and confirm the responsibilities and expectations for the next steps. So valuable. You leave a meeting and there's 10 people in there and everybody has an idea on what to happen, and then everyone leaves, and then it's like, well, hold on, who was supposed to do what? Now you gotta have another meeting to talk about who's gonna do what, or you have delayed action as far as being able to execute. And then lastly, you want to establish deadlines. I do this with my director all the time. Everything is high importance. So when that comes, what I have to tell her, okay, if everything's high importance, I need you to rate high importance from 1 to 10. Sorry, I can't do all 10. So it is what it is. So when you get that deadline, that allows you to be able to communicate if you can truly get this done or not, and then whether if you need to adjust priorities. What I see a lot as far as business to IT relationship is the challenge of I have this roadmap, and then at the end of the roadmap time, stuff isn't getting done. The reason why stuff isn't getting done is because something else probably broke, or some priority came in that had changed the roadmap. However, there's not discussion about what changed the roadmap, and here is the why. It's just we didn't hit it, and then there isn't communication, so there's not collaboration between the groups. The reason why the business gets frustrated in those situations is because I'm doing projections based off of the roadmap. So if I know this job is supposed to save me 2 FTEs, I'm not going to hire because I'm expecting that in November, I'm going to save this time. So then when something happens, then that's where you get frustration from the business sometimes. However, if you communicate that there's this one job that keeps breaking, and then it takes my IT person 4 hours to fix this job, then yeah, it makes sense why you couldn't finish this roadmap. Okay, So we're going to start moving into meetings. Since we're in the business or on the IT side, I'll make this one really quick because these are terms that you all are probably used to. So talk about refinement. From an operation standpoint, I'm going to leverage that to BRT meetings. This is similar to a pregame and halftime meeting. So you have your backlog, you decide on what priority is going to be, and then you set the game plan to be able to execute within that sprint. Next, you got your huddle stand-up. The one thing that I'll say here is it's all about action. I get so frustrated when I go to stand-up meetings and everyone's just saying, well, I did this yesterday. I did this yesterday. I did that. Ultimately, you're hired for a reason, so you should be able to get the job done. All I need to hear about is, do you have roadblocks? Do I need to make any adjustments? Are you done with everything? So do I need to give you something else? Those three questions, that's all I need to hear about. If things are going great, move on. Now I'm going to give you more time in your day to be able to continue to do more work. So in my world, our huddles or stand-ups are 15 minutes. I do mine bi-weekly just because our days don't change as much. So one thing about being agile is responding to change. A lot of times you hear you need to have a huddle, and they always say daily, 15 minutes, and nothing's really changing, and you're not talking about anything. You're wasting 15 minutes. So this is team to team. I'm only giving you advice based off of what I do for my team. All right, next one is the stop meeting. So this is a different term that I created myself. Basically what this meeting is when an email chain gets 5 more emails a deep, it's like, okay, let's stop. Let's just get in a room, let's stop all the confusion, and let's just hash this out so we can get this over with. What you end up seeing happen when you get 5, 6 emails deep is people start responding to old emails, and then now you got to catch up, and then you got to put all of the conversations back together to provide one response. It just gets messy. So if you get an email chain, no matter what it is, and it's more than 5 replies, you should schedule it. With that being said, there's probably confusion as to why there's so many emails. So you want to make sure that when you schedule that meeting, that the purpose and subject is clearly defined so we can get this done. All right, next is retro. So I don't have a specific term for this that I use on my team. We just have semi-annual full team meetings where we go over our goals, we go over mission, core values, review department goals, team goals. One thing that's important from an IT perspective is to also review your accomplishments. So a lot of times when you see retro conversations, from my experience, is what have we done, how can we get better? Sometimes there's how can we continue to be good, but a lot of times it's focused on the negative side. Why not say, what did we do well? What did we do good? How can we continue to do this? And then also you want to use this time to brainstorm on new process improvement ideas. One thing that I think the IT department does well here is with the Build Fest and those ideas that you allow your team members to come up with ideas themselves. That's going to ensure that everyone's more invested in the product that they do. All right, so lastly, we're going to move into evaluations. With evaluations, I split it into personal and performance. A lot of times we don't talk about the personal side. It's just you got a job, you got hired to do this job, complete the job. However, if you don't understand what your team has, you can't know what your team needs. So personal evaluations are important. It also allows the team to be able to understand each other more. What I've noticed specifically in my team, my research, is that as years go on, we become more knowledgeable, and becoming more knowledgeable allows us to be able to hide our true feelings. With that being said, these personal evaluations, generally speaking, people are going to be honest, so that's going to allow you to learn more about your team members. So it can seem like a waste of time, however, it's very important to do these types of things because then you also get to see similarities or you get a better understanding for everyone on your team. So my top 3 that I use is Strength Finders. This will give you your top 5 strengths. I'm assuming that the majority of people have probably heard about about that before. Risk assessment is a communications assessment. It breaks down your communication style into 4 areas. For example, D is labeled for dominant. So people who have dominant communication styles don't like replying to emails if you don't have a question in it. So sometimes that can come off as being rude, but then once you understand that that person's a D, you're like, oh, okay, they got it. I'm assuming that they read it and move on. On the other side, performance. From an operations standpoint, we have scorecards. I haven't talked to a lot of IT team members to understand how scorecards or performance management is done on the IT side. However, it's important to have something, whether it be individual or team. You want to have something that everyone's striving to, that you can congratulate people on. With that, if you don't have metrics, some things to think about is those championship qualities. You use those and people are instilling those values, then you can reward people and you can stack rank team members to show who's the top performer in that group. Next, you want to make it goal-based. If your goal is to get through so many story points within a year, whoever is helping to make the most story points, you can put them above, or as a team, you can evaluate the team and say, we met this number or we didn't. And then lastly, with metrics, you can reward teamwork. I do this a lot. We have work, whether it be reviewing a procedure, whether it be creating a process improvement that saves time that is not on our work schedule. This allows me to be able to reward those people for that. And then lastly, feedback. I'm not going to say how often you should have feedback, but feedback should happen. On my team, we do it monthly. They get a scorecard with evaluation in writing, and then we have one-on-one conversation. You can keep it short. Keep doing with a couple bullet points, areas of opportunity with a couple bullet points. But one thing to mention is that with areas of opportunity, you can still show appreciation with constructive feedback. Yes, everything may not go perfect. I know there's a topic that says you want to fail fast. So you want to be open to that. However, you do want to show appreciation for the time that they put into that project. All right, so in closing, I have a question for the group. It's rhetorical, but would you rather be frustrated with spending too much time before or after a project?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm hearing a lot of befores, which is good. So what frustration looks like? Before a process change, redundancy, misunderstanding, resistance to change. Why are we having all of these meetings for this change? We talk about this 3-4 times. Everyone knows what to do. Can we just move on? You'd rather be frustrated on this side than on this side. Because when you don't have enough conversations in your change and something goes wrong, now you can't save yourself. That's going to lower customer morale. It's going to lower team morale. Why didn't we QC? Why did you make that error? It's going to cause rework, whether it be for IT or the business side. Lack of trust, because now I gave you this project and it didn't go through. So if I give you this new one, will you be able to do that? And then redundancy again, because now I got to follow up. What went wrong? What's the change? How do we make sure this doesn't happen again in the future? Blah, blah, blah. So you spend that time before process change, you eliminate all of this. So end with another quote, another champion that I like. There's 2 pains in life. There's the pain of discipline, and then there's the pain of disappointment. If you can handle the pain of discipline, then you'll never have to deal with the pain of disappointment. And that's what we talk about frustration before or after a change. Thank you, everyone. All right, so I don't know how to do the poll.
It should just come up there, but did you go to the next slide? There we go.
All right, so before we start putting information in on the poll, I want to wait a little bit. On your sheet, can you please flip your sheet over? B1. Anybody need a sheet? I got one. Yes. Not fully. There's a few teams that are. My team, we're doing agile, but they might not even know. Anybody else need one? Okay, so please take some time to answer the questions here. I'm not going to provide any answers today, but first two, what's Nelnet's mission statement? What's Nelnet's vision statement? This is what's supposed to be driving our company to success. So these are the main two phrases with the core values that are important to business to take us in that direction. Now, to be honest, majority of the company may not even know what our mission and vision statement is, so that's fine. But I want to reiterate the importance as a leader that when we talk about reinforcement is key, reinforcement is key. That's the only way that people are going to remember where we're going. So take the time to reinforce what we're doing. What's our goals? What's our time? Make time to show that your team is succeeding, and I ensure that you'll have more improved success and efficiency. So take some time, try to answer all the questions that you can. I'm not providing any answers today, but after you take about 10 minutes there, then let's do so.
Thank you.
I still see a little bit of writing, however, I wanted to end this conversation early on purpose. I started off with saying I wanted to blend the lines between business and IT. Ultimately, to have a successful IT team, you need to be successful in operations. And when I say operations, I mean running the IT team appropriately. On the other side, for our operations team to be successful, I also need to understand IT, that you're the ones that's helping us provide enhancements, improvements to save the company money, make us more profitable, and make us the best team or company that we can be to our customers. So I wanted to open this time up for questions. I love talking shop. I'll be the voice for business for this time, but I just want to open it up for questions.
What do the operations folks really think after IT does a demo for an hour? Are they really engaged in what we're saying, or is it just going through motions?
What I'll say is we have confidence that we're going to do the job right. So going through a demo is important, but it's not going to be important to every person on that phone call. So everyone on that phone call may not be listening attentively. However, that's your opportunity to say, here's what we did, here's how it's going to work. And then if there is any issues, hopefully they bring it up before it goes into production. Now, if they don't bring it up in production and you made a decision to say, here's the way that we're going, and it's wrong, they had the time to bring that up and they didn't. So the shift of responsibility is on the business.
Hey Justin, I think you had mentioned earlier that you guys would do, while you guys are doing it, you said you thought your teams may not even recognize it. Like, do you guys do something along the lines of have a backlog or do sprints or bring in tasks and stuff like that? Or how does that kind of work?
Yep, so from an agile perspective, our sprints are daily. So you adjust to whatever inventory tells us to. That's going to ensure that we still meet our goal. With that being said, I have my own personal Kanban board at my desk of process improvements, high important issues to like be aware of. Our business moves so quickly that I have to have some type of resource to tell me what's important, what's going to get my managers or directors' eyes, so I can be proactive and be able to meet their needs. So I want to get to a point to where I can